Hey everyone. So I've been wanting to talk about something that's been bothering me for a while. We all know about racism coming from the right, but what I'm seeing more and more of is the kind of anti-black racism coming from the hard left. So this shows up when moderate or centrist black people get attacked just because they don't go along with every single part of the cause. Um, and the usual thing is that suddenly you're not black enough or you're a sellout. And I think this is not okay. I think it's not cool, and I think it's time we actually talk about it. I've got two examples here, and they both come from hard left activists. One is Max Blumenthal. Max Blumenthal is a hard left. He's actually Jewish. He's a journalist. I've met Max in person many years ago. I found him to be a very strange, socially awkward, not particularly nice guy. But that's neither here nor there. I think what he talks about on a day-to-day basis on politics is like he's crazy. Um, but anyway, this is what he wrote something. He tweeted something at Coleman Hughes. Coleman Hughes, who is an independent voice, and he does work for the Free Press as well. That's Barry Weiss's publication, which I've criticized a lot. I've not. I think Barry Weiss does some good things. I think he does some very bad things too. So anyway, this isn't a referendum on Barry Weiss, but I'm a big fan of Coleman Hughes. I think Coleman Hughes is a really, really smart guy and very sensible. And regardless of whether you agree or disagree with him, he's extremely kind of considerate. He's a good debater, very civil, always allows his guests to finish and have the last word. Just seems like a stand-up, honest guy. So anyway, Max Blumenthal tweeted this to his Twitter page. And this was about a clip between Coleman Hughes and comic Dave Smith, who were discussing the state of Israel. And Max Blumenthal writes, he says, it's funny to see how Minnie Van Jones keeps glancing down at the notes his Likudnik Zionist handlers prepared for him. Okay. So that's number one. Number two, is from a guy called Norman Finkelstein. Norman Finkelstein is a radical pro Hamas. I would say, yeah, he's probably pro Hamas, pro Palestinian activist, also Jewish. So this is what he wrote on his Twitter page. He says, newsflash, Barry Weiss hires Van Jones to head up CBS News, Schwartz department. Okay, so if you're not familiar with the term Schwartz, that's a Yiddish term for black. Obviously, the insinuation there that Barry Weiss is engaging in a sort of DEI experiment or hiring Van Jones because he's decided to work for somebody who politically he doesn't agree with, Norman Finkelstein doesn't agree with. I thought Coleman Hughes actually responded to these tweets really well. He says, hey, Norm, just a reminder from a black guy, we don't speak Yiddish. If you want to insult us, you're going to have to use the N-word like all the other racists. What is going on here? I really, really do not understand this at all, right? That if you don't agree with the hard left position on everything, then you're automatically not black enough. So all black people have to be pro-Palestinian and anti-Israel. Is that how it works? Right? You're not black enough if you're not down with the cause. It's grotesquely offensive. And Max Blumenthal is even worse, right? And he calls Coleman Hughes Mini Van Jones, right? Because what? All black guys look the same, right? And which is what Coleman Hughes actually responded to him. Coleman Hughes writes, honestly, the weirdest critique I've ever gotten. I brought notes and I look like another black guy. So it's like these guys are accidentally outing themselves as, in my view, racist. You're no better than a racist, right? You're saying a black person can't have another opinion. What does their skin color have to do with anything? Van Jones being black, what does that have to do with why he got hired at the Free Press, right? This makes no sense to me whatsoever. And I think it's just another example of the intolerance that you see in a lot of parts of the hard left. Now, Finkelstein and Max Blumenthal, I wouldn't regard them as identity. Well, they're definitely not identity politics adherents, right? That's another faction of the left that I think has gone slightly crazy, if you ask me. But what we're talking about here is the real hard, what I would call the real hard left, or the old school hard left, the sort of Chomsky left. And this is a kind of a movement that I'm quite familiar with. And one of the reasons I'm no longer involved in it is because I saw this kind of behavior, right? I saw this kind of behavior from everybody, and I've seen it actually amongst other black people where they've criticised. I've seen it amongst other minorities too, black, Asian, and Jews have all basically used their politics as a barometer of how much of a legitimate minority you are. So you're not a real minority unless you agree with all the hard left positions. And can we just call this for what it is? Can we just call it racist? This is racist, right? If the right was talking about this, that, if you don't agree with our politics, then you're not white enough, we would rightly call that racist because it would be racist. But these days, on the hard left, people, they get away with this kind of behavior. People don't call them out for it. Well, actually, they're getting roasted badly on Twitter, which I think they richly deserve. But yeah, I want to do more videos about this. I want to talk more about all of the intolerance that I see on the left, right, on the far left, and the radical identity politics left, and the hard left, I guess you want to call it. Because I think it's a big problem. I think it's a growing problem. And I think if liberals don't call this stuff out, then it's just going to keep getting worse, right? It will get much worse. And I think that's been one of the major problems in liberal circles, right? Is the inability for the left to take on the extremists in its movement, right? That when you see, anti-Jewish racism, or you see anti-black racism in the hard left, and no one calls it out. Why is that? What's the problem? We're happy to call it out on the right, call Donald Trump a racist, which I think he is, personally. Called it out on the left too. Norman Finkelstein, you're a racist. Max Blumenthal, you're a racist. And you're both dickheads, let's be fair. Anyway, leave comments. I want to hear what your thoughts are. Excuse the bad language. You're going to see some bad language on this channel. And if you like, please follow the channel, like on YouTube, follow us on Substack, thebanter.substack.com, and get more banter. We'll be back.